Talk. I am your host, JM, and this is my co-host.
I'm Tatiana. Today we're going to be talking about current events. There's been a lot of stuff happening in the world, and of course, social media makes it really easy for everyone to stay up to date without having to watch the news or read long articles or anything like that. So we're going to talk about some current events that was important to us personally. So today we're going to start with a little bit of an icebreaker. Does social media reporting the news constitute as a good or bad thing in your opinion?
In my opinion, I think it's good because a lot of people don't watch the news like myself. I don't tune into the 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock news. I pretty much get my news from social media. So it keeps me aware of everything that's going on. And I think social media also makes people think about things more because they know that it's in reach of other people to know what's going on. Because back in the day, we didn't know much what was going on in Mississippi, or if it wasn't going on in our own little area, obviously the news will tell you if it's big, but the small things we kind of know because of social media. So I think it's a good thing, me personally. What about you?
I also think it's a good thing. I just think it's important to know some blogs and stuff are more credible than others. So I think just knowing which ones are more credible and take their job seriously and stuff like that, bigger platforms, that's good. Because I know some stuff rumors will start on social media and then people will be like, oh, I'll wait for this outlet to post about it. I'll wait for this outlet to post about it to see if it's true. So I think just knowing which ones, which outlets and stuff are, credible and not biased, that type of stuff. I think it's a really good thing because I don't watch the news either.
I agree with realizing what's, fake news or real news, or, I definitely agree with making sure you read and don't just read the headline of something, because those be just clickbait type things, or don't just spread news if you don't know for sure it's fact. So I definitely agree with letting it be known that it's a real story. The first little, situation we're going to talk about is Blueface and Chrisean Rock, and just your thought on their altercation, their relationship, just period, it being toxic, and always seeing them coming up in the news of the social media world, news on the Shade Room.
I think that more people go through these type of relationships. This one's obviously they're both famous, so it's being talked about more. But I feel probably a lot of people go through this type of relationship. But specifically, so they've been having they've been in the spotlight for a minute about their relationship and what's been going on and stuff. But recently, with the whole physical altercation being caught on camera, that was really alarming. It was just kind of crazy to see them fighting in the street to me, because it's I just imagine what is happening behind closed doors if you guys are doing this in the street, who knows what's happening behind closed doors. So I just feel it's really dangerous. I know people laugh about the situation and laugh about little things that happen and stuff like that, make jokes or whatever. But I think it's something to be actually concerned about, in my opinion.
Yeah, when I look at the situation, I just really wonder where is her family? Because even though he is he be in the news, just not even just with her, he be in the news from his mother. Well, she was involved in it as well, his mother, his sister, those type of incidents. So it is he not a good person either, but most of the stuff that they're going through, it make her look bad. It make her look crazy or whatever. And like you said, it's a lot of people probably going through this, but they are both in the social media influencer world where they are being publicized more. But as far as I don't know. I just wonder where her family is, or where's her friends or the people that's behind her, because he got her out here looking crazy, but then again, she's grown. So it's like, can we really say he got her out here looking crazy? Like her removing her teeth from, like getting it fixed and removing the teeth because he said something about her acting funny after getting the teeth fixed. And then her getting the tattoo on her neck. Just, I don't know. It's a lot. It just, like you said, it's alarming. Like, it's just like, what is going on? And if y'all do this in public, what is going on behind closed doors, you know? Mm-hmm. And by them being recorded, it probably saved her a little bit, in my opinion, because he looked like he wanted to, you know, like well on her, but then he probably thought like, it's a lot of eyes watching me. I don't even want this, you know, out there in the world or whatever. And he did try to walk away. But I do feel a slight about a woman putting her hands on a man and then not thinking that they could get hit, or everybody like, oh, why would he hit her or whatever. Like, I don't know. That's a touchy subject for me, because I feel like if he's obviously trying to walk away, get away from the situation before it escalates to like physical, but at some point, where do he get the opportunity to defend himself if he can't get away, or if he's constantly being attacked? So I don't know. It's a really touchy subject for me, because a lot of people are like, oh, men know they're stronger than women, so they shouldn't put their hands on them. I feel like nobody should put their hands on nobody. Just simple. Should nobody be hitting anyone, whether it's a boy and girl, girl and girl. Like, nobody shouldn't really be hit and not being expected to be hit back, in my opinion. But yeah, that's my little thoughts. I just wonder where her support people is, because it's just like she looks like she's the one keeping him in the news. Like, he's using her for the clout. A lot of people like she's using him for clout because he's the rapper. But come on now, how much music we've been talking about with him since he first? It ain't been nothing but drama. So I feel like he's been her. That's just, yeah.
I agree with the yes, men are stronger than women, but I just feel like if, you know, no one's hitting anyone, then it's like that can decrease the, you know, amount of violence in some situations. Obviously not all situations. It's also a touchy subject because obviously we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. We don't know what was happening like before the person started recording. We don't know. It's just like a 3-minute video. It's mostly like her pulling at him. From what I saw in the video, it looks like she hit him first and then he hit her. They fell to the ground or whatever. And then like he put his hand up like he was gonna hit her again, but then stopped. And then they continued like the pulling or whatever. And then people got involved. But we don't know what happened before. We don't know really what led to the whole altercation in the first place. And then it was also like really like alarming to me that like they were seen like later on, you know, at the same place or whatever, in the same room or whatever. And he was like recording her and stuff like that. I also just think that that's like pretty alarming because it's just like that type of situation didn't like scare them or make them think like this is, you know, this is a big issue. We need to separate from each other. It was just kind of like a thing. So it's like, that's why I personally feel like, obviously it's my opinion, I don't know, that it's a lot going on. Maybe this happened before or something like that because they just went home or went wherever together. So it's not that like scary to them.
Yeah, and a lot of people are like, oh, well, he's on the video of them once they get to the same place after the altercation. And I guess people were worried, saying that he was hitting her and then the video came out or something like that. I don't know exactly the backstory on that, but it was after the altercation, they in the bed together, he's recording like, oh, what do I got to do to get you to leave me alone? And a lot of people are like, oh, well, he's trying to get out of it. He could do it's ways that he can allow it could be put in where he don't have to deal with her, or he can get a restraining order, or he can stop dealing with her like he's trying to play the victim. I don't like that. Y'all both are willingly still dealing with each other. Like, it's not she won't leave you alone, or you can't get away. Like, you're a grown man, you have money. Is ways to, if you really want to get away from her. But I feel like he put them on the internet. Like, even with his parent, his mom and his sister, he plays the victim, and his baby mama. Like, this not the first like issue or toxic relationship we've seen with him. So it's like, it might be him. Like, yeah, the girl, granted, might be a little crazy. We all got a little crazy in us, but I feel like it's more so of him that like try to play on the internet as like he the victim, or he's the person that's trying to get out of it, because it's not his first time trying to act like he didn't want to deal with her. Because my first introduction to him and her was him like trying to get rid of her, but a couple of months later they end up being in a lovey-dovey relationship. So it's just real toxic, and maybe they need to seek help for themselves before they try to be with each other. And maybe they shouldn't be with each other at all. He has a whole new daughter, I believe, that he just had a baby with a baby mama that he was going back and forth with. So it's just, I don't know. He the problem. He's the problem.
Yeah.
Both are the problem, but he's the common denominator. You know what I mean? Like, she also plays into it as well, but I feel like it's him more so of just her. And it's not because I'm a woman, it's just because I got ass, and that's what I see.
Yeah, I definitely do believe that it does happen often where the woman is perceived as just like, she's just so crazy about this man. And it's like, best believe behind closed doors, he's telling her something. Like James said, he has money, he has needs. Months ago, when you were claiming you were trying to work from her, you could have. He also, might have his like insecurities and stuff too. I feel like he just up and went through her phone. That's what, he claimed on his like story or whatever, that also got posted the day after like the physical fight or whatever, that he went through her phone and like found stuff. So it's like, if she's just some crazy woman that's just so after you, why look through her phone, bothered that she's with other men? If she's with other men, why are you bothered by that? Why are you looking for that? If she's just so crazy about you, you wouldn't even really care. I really feel like, not even just like man to woman, like if somebody is really, really crazy about that person, don't just think like, oh my God, they're just so crazy about that person. They're so obsessive and stuff. Think like, what could that person be doing to contribute to them to continue to pursue them? And it was like another situation where supposedly she was just like talking to someone in the club, and then he broke up with her or whatever, and that's what she was like begging on the internet for him to like take her back, and that she was just networking and stuff. If she's just so crazy about you, and you're trying to get away from her and stuff, why do you care if she's talking to someone in the club? Why did that bother you to like throw like a temper tantrum and stuff? So in my opinion, 9 times out of 10, the person isn't just so crazy and just so obsessed. The other person behind closed doors is like doing a little something, saying something to keep them, strung along. But they want to act like to the public, like they don't know why that person is like that.
I agree. I feel like he just wants, it's a control thing. He want all the control. He wants to tell her what she can be and what she can't be. It was something about, I think she signed off all her like money to him in the show she was doing. She in like Baddies of the South show on Zeus, and all the money goes to him. And it's like, I think it's just like a control thing. It reminds me back of when Stevie J and Jocelyn from Love and Hip Hop, how he like had her sign a contract, and she basically had to deal with him because she signed her like that's what is giving to me. So this is a control thing. He's a narcissist. That's exactly what I feel like he is. He disrespects his mom. Like, I'm just not a fan of him at all. Not a fan of his music anyway, rap wise. So it's just like, it looks bad. Any man that dogs and treat their parent, their mama like crap, is just, I don't know. It's him. He the problem. But enough of him. Enough of him. That's it. That's all I can say.
Next, another big thing that's been in the media for a really long time, for the past few months, is the Brittany Griner situation, because she's being held in Russia for months and months, and then now they've come to like a conviction and then a sentencing. So that has started up like an outrage, and I'll let JM like say the specifics.
Okay, so yeah, it's very unfortunate that she's been in Russia prison for about 6 months already, I believe. It's I'm gonna read a little bit of it just to give y'all like what it's about if you don't know already. So it's Brittany Griner. She's 31 years old. She's a American basketball player in the WNBA, and she was playing overseas for extra money. She has family. So she was convicted of smuggling 0.7 grams of THC into Russia on a trip to play basketball for her Russian team. And it was like a vape pen, like a pen in a pen or something like that. And she was just sentenced 9 years and fined 1 million rubles. And I guess that's their money or whatever. So yeah, that's a really touchy subject for me. It just gives me we previously just did an episode on Black women. She's a Black woman, so it touches here because I'm a Black woman, and for her to have to do 9 years for something that small, and I'm pretty sure she didn't know the extremes of something like that. I carry pens and stuff all the time, like little hookah pens and stuff. So I would never expect traveling with something could cause me to be in jail for 9 years. So it's very unfortunate, and my heart and prayers go out to her family, her teammates, her, and hopefully we can get this situation settled. But it shouldn't have took for us. She's been there for 6 months. It should have been an outrage. I feel like she wasn't important enough. She like, of course her teammates felt it and her family, but as far as America, the outrage is now because of the sentencing. Like, yeah, we've heard little bits and pieces, but she's already been there for 6 months. I feel like it should have been like something going on or whatever. And I do know something with I'm not really into none of this news world or like, so I don't want to be saying anything wrong, but I know the Ukraine and Russia is into it. And I guess the United States are like allies for Ukraine. So Russia, I feel like it's like it's just like they're doing it out of spite, in my opinion. Because let me read you another part. It was a girl named Audrey Lauber. I don't know how to say her name. She's 19 years old. She's white and she's American. She was found guilty of smuggling 17 grams of THC into Russia while on a family vacation. And she was released after a 2-month detention and fined 15,000 rubles. So she had 17 grams and Brittany had 0.7 grams. So it's somewhere, it's just not adding up.
Yeah, like, it's like she's important enough to like be made an example, because I believe so, in my opinion. I'm not into politics at all, but I feel like she's being made like as an example to the US. Like, they know like she has some type of like fame, but at the same time she's not that important to like the US to like actually do something, because 9.5 years for a cart, and anyone who like smokes or anything, they know a cart is like this big, then it's like a small pen. So it's like, they could have gave her a fine, or she could have time served. She's been there for 6 months. She got time served, a fine, and like be banned. Like, come on, it's not. It's crazy. It's actually quite scary too. That's a long time in your life.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. It just makes you wonder, like you said, she's important regardless whether she had fame or not. She's important to her family, her friends, teammates, herself. So she's important, but she's important like she has the fire behind her, like the team, the WNBA people, enough for Russia to know that if they hold her, they could make a little noise to the US, but she's not that important to the US to make some stuff happen. You know what I mean? And Boosie Badass, he's a rapper or whatever, and he came out and spoke about it once they gave her 9 years. Yeah, I don't agree with everything he says and stuff like that, but he does be having he be saying the stuff that you be wanting to say, the people with the platforms that should speak out or whatever. Like he said it, like she's not Taylor Swift. She's no Taylor Swift. I 100% believe if it was Taylor Swift out there, or if it was a Kardashian or something out there, some stuff would be done.
Mm-hmm.
And 9 years wouldn't be just acceptable. That's a huge chunk out of someone's life for something I'm guaranteed she didn't know that she was breaking no type of law or anything. And when they say smuggle, what do they mean by smuggle? Like I'm lost and confused. Because what's smuggle?
Yeah, when I think of smuggling, I think of like a huge amount with the intent to like sell and distribute. Like this, like a cart this big, she smuggled, just confiscated, give her a fine, and then he held her for 6 months. That's punishment. Like 9 years is like mind blowing. It's so scary too.
Yeah, it makes you scared to like go out of the country. Like I was just getting over my fear of going out the country because I don't trust anything. I don't even trust America. So let alone would I trust foreign things or whatever. So it just makes you scared that they could just make up a rule or something and hold you. Like that's very scary. And I already feel like Black women aren't protected enough. So I don't feel like it won't be a fight, a scream, a holler only from my loved ones. And that's it. So it's just like, it's just very scary to know that something she did not know, she was not trying to sell it. She wasn't trying to do anything other than she did it for her pleasure or whatever. And it got her 9 years. And we just had a mass shooter man in Chicago area, and he has a bond to get out on house arrest after he was just he had 300 spent rounds in his car. He had hella guns loaded, and he had a note about a mass shooting just recently. And all he need to pay is $300,000 to get out on bond. Why would he even be able to get out if you know his intentions? He obviously don't have anything to lose or he care about. So why would he even be able to get out? You know what I'm saying? Like it's just stuff. I know Russia is different from the United States, and we're not discrediting them having like laws and rules and stuff. But 9 years, it don't fit the punishment like at all. The crime does not fit the punishment at all. And what is going on with her Russian team? Like, are they trying to help, or like it should be somewhere in place where someone is advocating for her out there, like because she was playing for them out there. I don't know. It's heartbreaking. It's frustrating. It's just like when you think the fight you might have won a fight, it's another fight you gotta win. Like it's just all battle in this world. And it weighs heavy on me sometimes. So, yeah. And the fact that she had to go play overseas because the WNBA don't make as much money as the NBA is already another thing that a woman got to battle with. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, granted, NBA is more popular than WNBA, but they shouldn't have to go overseas just to make a living. And that's what I've heard, that's the reason why people play overseas is because they're not making enough money.
Yeah, I think I saw something today that said she made around like 220,000 a season. I'm not completely sure, but I did learn in school because I took a sports class or whatever, that they do make like 100 to like 500,000, and like these the NBA, there's like our millions per year, which is like insane. The the difference is crazy.
Yeah.
To be whole like subject and stuff on, because like you said, yeah, the NBA is more popular and stuff, but we did a whole subject on how much money goes into like much money goes into the promotion of like men's sports versus women's. And I want to say the men's ones was like definitely the high millions, maybe even like billions, and women's wasn't that much. So it's like it's just not taken seriously, and they probably work just as hard or harder, in their craft or their sport.
They gotta definitely work harder because anything that a man is doing and a woman's trying to do it, the woman gotta do greater or work harder just to be seen or taken serious. So, but yeah, I just pray that it get overturned and she get home. She come home, and maybe we should take a step back from traveling to these other countries and giving our money to these people.
Mhm.
They could just make a decision like that. Like, I don't know, because I was really getting excited about traveling. I'm a new passport holder. I never wanted to go out the country. Took a cruise and kind of, had a good time there. So I'm like, okay, I could do this. I never wanted to go out the country, and finally did. And then something like this happened, and it's like, yeah, that's probably why I don't want to go out the country, because I don't want something to happen while I'm out of the country, and then you hold me because you trying to prove a point or whatever. Like, I don't know, it's just scary. It's just scary. Okay, so the next thing that has been going on in social media has been Bill Cosby. He went to jail for being accused of drugging and raping a lot of women. I don't have the exact number. And R. Kelly is currently just got sentenced to 30 years for doing like racketeering and other things of sort. And we all know that he has been accused on many occasions of dealing with younger women or controlling women, even women of age. So yeah, so that's the topic of their sentences and the things that they got charged with versus other legends, and other legends being like Elvis, him like marrying his 14-year-old wife. He was dating her while he was 24 and she was 14. Steve Tyler, he was dating a young girl at the age of 16. He was 26, and that was in 1973. So we could just talk about the difference between how you feel. So you could go first.
Okay, so I was really excited to talk about this situation because we have a podcast, so I watch other podcasts, and I've been watching this one guy's podcast for like a few years, and he does like he talks about like one thing at a time, kind of just like goes like in depth about it. So I watched the podcast that he made on Steven Tyler. And basically, the lady, I believe, wrote a book, and he wrote a book, but the lady wrote a book, like detailing, or she like told her story somehow about what happened when she was 16. She like moved in with him. She ended up getting pregnant. Supposedly, this is like what I watched from another podcast. She ended up getting pregnant, and he kind of like tricked her or forced her into abortion or whatever. But it was like known that he was, dating and sleeping with a 16-year-old. I read on the internet it said 16, but in the podcast he said 15, so like 15, 16 or whatever. And he is still alive. He's not in jail. His career is still, there. I think I want to say in the podcast too, he said he was just honored like a few years ago. He had this big like honorary like celebration, claiming that he's a legend and that type of stuff. And I just find it really ironic. I'm not trying to downplay like R. Kelly and Bill Cosby's crimes, but it's just like their stuff got brought up like from stuff that happened like years and years and years ago. But you know, his stuff happened in the 70s. So why isn't he given like his crime stuff like, you know, given the same type of light? And then recently this Elvis movie had came out about his life. And I had heard, you know, before that he was like had pedophile tendencies or whatever. But people were like saying like in the movie they didn't touch on any of that. They just, you know, romanticized his relationship with his wife and stuff, but they didn't like really touch on that she was 14 when they started dating. They didn't get married until she was 21. They're James Barnes, I guess, when he was 31. But basically, like, that is really young. Like, what is she, like a freshman in high school, and you're already like a famous, you know, man that's in your mid 20s, and you're starting to date a 14-year-old. Even though he's passed away, so like what could be done, but it's like situations like that. It's like he's known as Elvis, this great legend. He has this movie now about him and stuff, and it doesn't touch on any of that type of stuff, which I found really like interesting.
I agree. And as I think about it, you know, I think this is a very, very good topic to talk about as well, because it's not a secret that Black people are treated differently in this country. It's no secret. It's nothing new. But all these alleged crimes, because they all allegedly, I don't know anyone, happened a long time ago. And I feel like when people are great, a lot of Black people are great, is somewhere in the world or somewhere where people want to find the darkness in them, or the what is it, the bones in the closet or whatever. Like they want to find skeletons in the closet, whatever. Like Bill Cosby. I'm not discrediting no woman that is a victim of him. I don't know. I don't say he's not guilty or he's guilty, because I don't know. But I do know that, like Tatiana stated, we know I don't know Elvis too much of Elvis, but I've known the story of him messing with a younger woman. But when we hear about Elvis, there's nothing about none of that. It's, oh, he's a legend. He was this, he was that. It's great things. And it's like all the other stuff is swept under the rug. And it's plenty more people that's done a lot of stuff that is known, but they're not being charged. They're not being locked up. So it's not that we don't agree with the stuff. It's just, I feel like everybody that's doing the crime should be treated the exact same way. It shouldn't be one person getting 50 years and the next person getting a slap on the wrist. If we're going to treat the crime like a real crime or a crime that needs 30 years, everybody that's convicted or has done a crime should be charged with that. And not to discredit anyone, once again, the situations are different too, because it's like a lot of people were willing partners or participants in certain situations. So I look at it a little different. I don't think it's right, but I do think it's different than rape. If a person is wanting it, or if a person lied about their age or things like that. So I look at things different when it comes to that, but yeah.
It's also been said that so it's called like grooming, when you like meet, you know, a woman so young and you basically mold her into the woman that you want her to be. So that's number one that like plays into it, to where it might not be like cut and dry, because it's like, oh, she wanted to or whatever. But then also when I watched the thing on the Steven Tyler situation, the girl's parents, he described it as, the person who's doing the podcast described it as like her parents like basically sold her off or whatever, because it's like, what business does your 16 or 15-year-old daughter have with a man that's in his mid-20s? So it's like the parents are also in the situation, or should be looked at too, in my opinion.
I think every parent needs to be looked at. Every parent in all situations, because a kid able to know the difference to a 15, 16-year-old. They're teenagers, but they don't know what they get themselves into. But I agree with the parents being locked up. They definitely need to be locked up, like for sure. Any Willingham participants that would help with the stuff need to be charged as well. It's just I don't know. I don't know. It just seems very excessive when it comes to the skin color to me. Like it's just real different. And it's like, oh damn, where did we really come? You know, it feel like we growing and we moving forward, and then things like certain stuff happening, it makes me like, are we really moving forward? You know, I know it could be worse, and it has been worse, but just because it could be worse, do we just accept the bare minimum of stuff? You know?
Yeah, and like we said, we obviously weren't there. We don't follow these like cases and that stuff like that closely, you know, like all the details and stuff. But I'm just saying, like, when these certain people names are brought up, I want these accusations to be thought of too. You know, not that they just have their like memory and their career intact, and it's like this is like, yeah, it's talked about a tiny bit because obviously we know about it, so it'll be talked about a tiny bit, but it's definitely not talked about like at the height of like when like the Bill Cosby trial was going on and R. Kelly stuff like that was like everywhere, in my opinion.
And a lot of people were like, oh, that happened so long ago. A lot of these things happened a long time ago, and they being tried and charged. So it's like, we're not going to use it as an excuse for these people to basically get away with crimes or committing the same thing that others are in jail for. So, but like Tatiana said, I don't follow none of these stories. As far as I don't watch the news, and I just see it on the internet. I watch a little snippet, maybe read a couple of little articles if interested, and move along.
Yeah. And I just think like overall, like even not on like the crimes of like you know, being with like younger women and stuff. We both like true crime like documentaries and stuff like that. So like I just feel like even the way like the different like serial killers are depicted, you know, like they're kind of like romanticized, and like they'll show like how bad their childhood was and stuff. Not saying it wasn't, don't know, it wasn't there, but it's like they'll show the ins and out, you know, these people that killed multiple people. But then it's like when it's like a Black person, they really show them being a monster in their like documentary or series or whatever. So I think that's something that people should also pay attention to. I love true crime stuff, but it's like they definitely do sympathize with them more. They romanticize them. They you know, hire actors and stuff that look better than what the like serial killer looked like. It's just kind of like scary and weird how like the difference is.
Yeah, they'll make you feel like sorry for them, or you know, make their story seem way more sadder. And like you said, we weren't there, so we don't know. But it's like, if we gonna play that role, play it on all roles. Don't just choose the person you want to do it for. And I ain't never seen one that made a Black person look like they childhood was so horrible where they sympathize with them. They just probably made them a monster. Their childhood made them a monster because they just a monster. Because they,
Yeah.
you know.
The only like nice or not nice, but the only like documentary or series which it did get the credit that it deserved, When They See Us, like that documentary, I feel like it definitely showed like the behind the scenes that they usually show like for, you know, other races. They showed the behind the scenes. They showed, you know, they were just little kids basically, because they weren't kids. They were like 16 and under. That's a kid, obviously. That was like probably like the only documentary that I personally have seen that really, really showed basically the same amount of like background and build up as it does for like the other races, like documentaries, in my opinion.
that also took one of us to create it too. Like it was us sympathizing with us, you know, like or seeing it. It was blatantly wrong. I hate that story. Like I hate it with a passion of instead of finding out who really did this, y'all spend more time trying to falsely make this wrong. Like it just made no sense to me. Like it's crazy. Like I hate that story with a passion. It made no sense of to ruin other people's lives instead of finding the real person that did it so he won't do it again to someone else or cause other victims. Y'all just spend more time and energy into
trying to frame.
Yeah, like it just it's crazy. Like
yeah. Because you actually care about the law and the community and stuff. You would want to get the actual person who did it off the streets, but it's less of caring about the actual like law and community, more of like, I don't know. It's crazy. That is that's literally one of my favorite ones, but I can never watch that again just because of like how emotional that one is. I can never watch that again.
Yeah, me either. I mean, it just gives you an insight of what the law does to people that don't have the knowledge of knowing their rights and just taking advantage of underprivileged people, brown people to be exact. Like just as long as they got someone to take the fall to make them look like they did their job, they cool. Even if everything is showing that this person might not be the person, it's like the Corey one. He was there just for his friend, supporting his friend. He get swept up in it. Like it just don't make. It's crazy. Like I just hate that story. Like I hate it with a passion that. Yeah, and they were kids. Like y'all did all this to kids. Like it just don't make sense to me.
Yeah, they were so. I think Corey he's supposed to be the oldest out of them, and he was 16. I want to say I haven't watched it since the first time I watched it. Emotional, but like he's the oldest. He's only 16. Like that means they were young. They're really, really, really young. It was just crazy.
And then they had one that was 14, and like y'all ruined these kids' life because even though they're now, you know, proven innocent and stuff, they had to go through all that. That's traumatizing. That PTSD, you know, all type of things, or you don't know what happened to them. They lost a lot of time out of their life. I hate that they make it where they give money. Like, yeah, it's good to, you know, financially benefit from a situation, but that don't take away all the trauma and all the things that they had to deal with. Like a lot of people think money solves things, or they feel like they can buy your years that they took from you. That no, it's a lot of stuff that they didn't get to experience, and then they had to. It's a lot of stuff they dealt with in jail, like, and half the throwing these kids in that don't even know what the jail system is like for real.
Yeah. And that's why people say like time is like the most, you know, bad that you can never get time back. That's number one. They missed out on like the experience of like a high school graduation, going to high school because they were all young, being in high school, graduating from high school, and then it's like they have money, yeah, now, but it's like whenever someone starts their name up, or you know that's what will come up, or and it's some people that might not believe their story still to this day. So it's like that's just the number thing that's gonna come up if they introduce themselves. You know, probably like everyone in New York, you know, knew about this. Well, everyone knew about this, but like everyone in New York knew about this because it happened there. So it's like if they walking down the street, you know, and saying their names, and at the time before they're proven innocent, it could have just been like, oh, well, you guys did this, you know, like something like that. So that whole situation is crazy. That's why I don't.
And what happened to the woman who knew, the prosecutor knew, and just wanted to, like, they just get to live on with their life after ruining somebody's life. Like, I feel like somebody should be held responsible for that, not just y'all giving taxpayer money, because where's the money coming from? The taxpayer. Y'all, it's not coming out their pocket. They not paying these fines and these lawsuit settlements and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's like they're not being held responsible so they can do it again. What will stop them from doing it again? Just like y'all treat criminals a certain way, y'all lock them up to punish them so they wouldn't likely do it again. What happens to these people that ruin these kids' lives?
Mm-hmm.
Their childhood taken from them.
Because I know higher ups, the most that'll happen, or not the most, but usually they'll be like, oh, they resigned from that position or whatever. We used to do like case studies in college or whatever about cases about, you know, power for men and stuff, and about the like Me Too movement, or just about power people in general. They'll just be like, they have to resign from their position. So it's like you took like years from someone's life, traumatized them, that type of stuff, and you resign from your position at like 50. So
yeah, they get the pleasure of not even getting fired. They get the pleasure of saying they resign, so possibly go somewhere else and still have back around to fall back on and say, oh, I've done this. You know what I mean? Like, are they really being punished, or are they really owning up to? No, they're not, because they don't look like us, really.
Okay, guys, we made it to the end of another Sister Talks episode. I have a closing out question like we always do. I just want to ask Jan, what is one thing that you took from the conversation today?
What I took from this conversation today, I have conversations like this a lot, but just not allowing people to not hold themselves responsible, not because like the Brittany, going back to the Brittany situation, Brittany Griner, I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong, but her situation, we knew about it, and now we're even more pissed off because of the 9 years, but we should have took it serious when it was just a month or two. You know, like not letting people dictate what's important to us.
Yeah. I think what I took mostly is what you said, and you know, it's a popular thing for a reason. Make the punishment fit the crime. And we don't know exactly what Russia's like laws and regulations and stuff like that, but it's like if this person, you know, not too long ago just got 2 months for 7 grams or however many grams. 17. So this person just got 2 months and fined for 17 grams, you know, someone come from the US. How in the world does a 0.7 get 9 years? So it's like she should have definitely under 2 months, because the other person had way more than her. And so just make it fit, make it make sense. But yeah, so that's all we have for today. I know this was different from our other episodes. I actually really like this episode because we got to talk about stuff that's happening today, which everything I think that we talk about usually, you know, is happening today, but we got to talk about specific events and stuff. But make sure to tune into our YouTube, our Apple Podcast, and our Spotify for Sister Talks. And yeah, thank you guys for tuning in.